So it turns out that I have not been recording this entire time, and that makes me kind of sad. Oh, but welcome everybody. Welcome back to the lab. Welcome to the lab off hours. Off hours, I was attempting to work on an issue where we were running into inconsistent message types between things like the listen interface, the listen method for the PubSub client. So where we have this data type here, which is a type string and data, which is a struct that contains two fields: topics, plural, and auth token. This clashed with the attempt that we had made to make the event type generic, which the event type was meant to represent this type of message here. So where the message is type message, and then you have data, which is a topic, which is the topic that the message came from, and then message is some type of struct that contains data. So there were a couple of things that that I was introduced to over the course of this. Number one, this documentation is wrong because it says that the channel point event message is this. It's not. It's actually of this format. This is just the internal data structure that you actually receive. And then the other thing that I was going back and forth on was the fact that on these other examples, message here is a string. It's a JSON stringified string. So yeah, there was a lot of back and forth that was going on. There was a lot of trial and error. And unfortunately, you all don't get to see any of that trial and error. Fortunately, unfortunately, not sure. I was getting a little tilted. But what we ended up with was a couple of changes to the event struct to account for the messages that we are going to be receiving. So this represents type error, which is a possible struct, and then data, which goes after the topic and the message. Now, message is an interface because we're not entirely sure what message is. I think it's pretty fair to say that this can actually become a string. I haven't actually tried this yet. And then what we did inside of listen, we actually don't need this. We don't need this JSONify method anymore. What we ended up doing inside of listen was basically constructing a custom struct. And there were many reasons that kind of bounced back and forth in my head of, do I do this? Do I not do this? I ended up doing it because I didn't really want to account for this one object type in the main event struct. It just didn't make sense to do so. So instead, listen sends its own struct, formatted exactly the way that it expects that data to be. And I was looking... I think I was looking at whether or not I needed to do this or not. I wanted to say that I could just do that. Nope. Okay. Yeah, that's so I was going back and forth on like trying to find the shorthand for this, and for the life of me I couldn't find it. I'm pretty sure it wasn't this either. I lied. It's that. It's absolutely that. Whether that's clean or not, to be determined, to be perfectly honest. But there you go. So listen sends off its own struct, and that was something that we did change as part of client.write. Client.write now accepts an interface. I did that mostly just to make it a bit more generic and so that I didn't have to write a custom function just for listen. So we're no longer doing that. And you can see that going back and forth through here, I was basically trying to figure out what is message, what is this thing, or what is data, what actually are these things, and why am I having such a hard time figuring them out. Finally, I just ended up doing a printf for the type of message.data, and I found it to be, or message.data.message, and I found it to be a string. So message.data string is not an interface. It's because we can do that now, I think. The other thing that I recognized was that the redeem struct that we created in this kind of like test method for testing out parsing channel point redemptions was actually wrong. I had reward on the same level as redemption, whereas redemption is actually what stores the user and reward information. So even there was a whole slew of debugging that I was doing, and you can kind of sort of see it here, where I was trying to parse this out and I wasn't actually getting any data for title, for message, for amount, etc. Turned out that was because I had not properly formatted the struct. So now we are getting data for that struct. So let me do like that, clear that out, do a go run again. And I've got a chat window up over here where I've been just redeeming data, or redeeming things here as we go. Yeah, there we go. All right. We did it. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. And I had data over here that came in from one of the requests. And I was looking for a line to see if this said, it doesn't. Okay. I was looking for this line to see if there was anything that said what this was. So like they're technically channel points, but I call them I think I call them research points or lab credits. Unfortunately, we don't have that information stored in here anywhere, so there's not a very easy way of figuring that out. So what that does mean though is that for the bot.newPoints redemption, or really just the amount unit, I don't think that this is really going to be necessary, because we have the type up here. This is going to tell us, oh, this was a channel point redemption, this was a sub, this was bits, yada yada. So I think amount unit is not necessary. So just double checking this real quick. That looks okay. So let's come back to here. We've got amount, sender, title, message. And I think that actually takes care of this part. The other part that I did kind of run into was that I was calling the try parse channel message whenever we received the response object, which was the response is, hey, I'm listening to this particular thing. I receive a response. We're good. So it was attempting to parse that out, which was failing. So I just added a quick if clause here, basically a filter to say, if this is a message type, then we'll try to parse it. And I don't think I showed this on stream, but my intention is to do something like this. So bot event did parse equals try parse this. If not did parse, then move on to the next parse attempt. Now we're probably not going to do this. We're probably going to do something more pipeline oriented, I think. Something like maybe like a linked structure, or however we end up doing it. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But basically, we're going to use this infrastructure, broadcast out an event, and basically see, hey, are you a channel point redemption? Are you a sub redemption? Blah, blah, blah. If you are, here you go. If you're not, here you go. Alternatively, Because we now have the topic as part of the data extract, what we could do is we could parse off of this. So we could say if ebt dot data dot topic, and this would actually be we could do something like a if strings dot has prefix, say channel points, then we will do like that. What this allows us to do is actually return an error. Come down here. In this case, we want errors.new failed to parse, or how would I put this? Point redemption parse JSON. And this would technically be errors.errorf, I think. So we do like that. Yeah, so it looks something like that. In there. And this would become nil. We no longer... Can you tell I'm a Vim user? Delete. We can bring this up here. Yeah, and we would more or less be doing something a little more sophisticated than this, just to call it out, but this is for the sake of getting it to work. So we don't need that anymore. Do like that. This is now bot EVT. And actually, in this case, we could just return bot EVT nil. No, variable type bot event as event value. As event value. Oh, is this meant to return an event? This is still returning an event. This shouldn't return an event, I don't think. Actually, in fact, we probably shouldn't even be doing this inside of the read. Because I think at this point, the thought here being that we could just return EVT. We could bring this out, bring this down into our read. And then here, we're basically parsing now. So we're saying EVT error equals blah. And then we wouldn't return anything now. We would do a log dot printf error. Okay, that's actually now giving me pause for thought. If okay, print it. Otherwise, do nothing. So what I'm thinking here is that instead of doing, let me change that back to a Boolean. instead of having that logic inside of read, we can more or less keep read pretty generic. Log.printf. And then here we can grab v2 that, grab that, paste that, close that. False. We can keep read generic, generic to the purposes of reading pub sub messages, and then read. Let's see here. Is write down here? Okay, so actually grab this, bring this down near write. Just so I like grouping methods. If there's a series of methods that are more or less related to each other, I like to group them like this. So like this is the raw read and write interfaces, or read and write APIs. So I kind of keep those close. Technically, we're not doing that with reconnect, but details. We can get rid of that for right now. Oops. And then event from a listen topic on PubSub. Well, the on PubSub is redundant, so we'll get rid of that. Okay, so connect, start. All right, and this needs to be evt.data.topic. So if the topic starts with channel points, then we're fairly confident that this at that point is a channel points event. So what we can do, let me make sure that's right. Yeah, topic is channel points, channel v1. We can be specific, and I think we should be. I think we should be pretty specific about this. So let me do that. So just in case if there's a v2 later, we can say try channel points redeem v1. This is down here now. I don't intend for this function to live inside of the client, at least most likely. I don't think it'll live here. We'll see. Let's see here. Redeem v1. I don't really like including versions in there, but it's a little bit easier than saying like current and new, because then what happens when the old becomes current and current becomes new, and it's confusing as all hell. Attempt to a point redemption v1 message, or what we're calling these events. And so what I'm imagining is that we would probably have a series of messages that look very similar to this, or a series of functions that would look very similar to this. And what we could do is basically just do some type of a pipeline, or not even a pipeline. We just have a series of, where are you? There you are. We just have a series of these, like, okay, if it has prefix of this, parse it this way, about this, parse it that way, blah, 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 blah. And eventually you end up with either the event that you're looking for, or you end up with an error. Not entirely sure which one, but hey. Now, the other side of this, too, is that what we will eventually want to do is take these events as they've been parsed and then yeet them over into the bot, so that the bot can then do whatever it is that it's going to do with those types of events. And I am indeed recognizing that these need to be channel point topic equals, not that. Oy. I'm still getting used to this keyboard. I think I'm going to say that for for infinitum. All right, so let's grab you. So we'll have channel point topic, probably have like subtopic, bits topic, subs topic, and bits topic. So the subs topic is what? There's the bits topic, so we'll grab that. And then subs topic is, okay, so this is a sub resub. Is it indeed the same? Yes, it is. Okay, thank goodness. At least they don't lie about that part. This documentation has been on my nerves. Oof. Okay, so now we can change this to channel points topic. And this, same thing. So now we have a constant for it. Now we figure out what the message is. Figure out what the message is. And if valid, parse and send to the bot. Outbound consumers. Sure, we'll call it that. All right, so I think we can no longer, or we don't really need to call this a try. And then we would, if okay, do something with it, continue, which here would be to do send to bot, which I don't really think that we have to do this. I don't think. I think we could. I think we could just do this, no? Send bot EBT. Also, why is that called like so? And us outbound events, outbound events with a capital. Thank you very much. Yeah. I think we could just send them off. And I think at a bare minimum, oh yeah, and also this is not going to be, this is going to be package available, not the other way around. So we send it to the bot, and off we go. Now, I will probably end up changing this back to an error because now that I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, well, this should be a channel topic, a channel point topic. So we should parse it. If we don't, then we should error out in some capacity. So I think I'm going to change that. And I think I've changed it back and forth like 5 or 6 times at this point. But hey, that's half the fun, isn't it? Yep. Okay. And now logging handler. So we're going to receive an event. So we're actually not going to get that handled proper. So let me come into the bot and bot.listen. That's get rid of that now. And isn't IRC? Yes, this is sending it as a chat message. So what I was looking at was this handler is currently just printing out every event kind of as they come. And that's okay. But I think we can do something a little bit more intelligent. So if evt dot type, or there's a, yeah, if it's a chat event, then with chat events, we want to kind of keep the old format of show the username, yada yada. Otherwise, we want to printf. No, we don't want to print that. We want to do this, which would just be the current EBT with values posted. There's a worry that that's going to print something that I don't want it to print. So I am going to swap over. Oops, I'm going to swap over here, and I'm going to keep secrets up. And I'm just going to do a quick go run. Okay, so that looks okay. So now if I do a redemption for a stretch, we are indeed receiving the stretch. And now we don't have all of the other print lining that we were doing. We basically cleaned this up to only output events that are now coming down to the bot. So holy shit, we actually did something. I have been fighting with this idea of pub sub and how to do pub sub for so bloody long. It makes me so happy to see it get to this point and to get to a point where it's actually consumable. I love it. Okay, so this would be errors.errf. Parse, what do we call this? Point redemption parse error. And we'll send the original error along with it. We need to import that. And then down here would just be nil. And finally, we need to come back down into our read handler. And this needs to be if error does not equal to nil. Knuckle? No. If error does not equal to nil, then we need to do a log.printf error. Pub sub parse. And then this would be error, which would tell me what the error was. So error pub sub parse, and then this should tell me. Oh, and this also needs to do a continue. that off. Yeah, so it'll give me an error, pub sub parse, point redemption, parse, failed, and then off we go. I think that's a very specific error case. It's something that would effectively happen, I think, if we were connected to the redemption channel and we got something very weird, like something happened on the server side and we weren't getting messages anymore. Maybe we got an error response or something of that nature. But holy crap, guys, we've got there. We got there. Oh, so this sets us up now for channel point redemptions. We can now basically come into the bot, and we can add handlers for these things now. We can add handlers for channel point handler, for subscription handler, et cetera, et cetera. We can start to build that business functionality. For right now, I'm not going to do that because I think I'm going to keep that for on stream. But the next time that we come back, I'm probably going to add more collectors, more functions for parsing these messages, and we might see where we go from there. But the last step. Oops. We need to get bot, event, logging handler, and pub sub. Get all of that stashed. Gcommit, fix channel point parsing, now passing to bot. All right. And up she goes. Eventually. Yeah, there we go. Up goes to Git. And that should do it for today. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that this has, well, at a bare minimum, I hope that that this at least gives you some peace of mind. Like it gives me some peace of mind that we actually got past this. So now we can actually start building some business functionality. But until next stream, thank you all so much for watching. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.